So,
Well, I guess with my mother, I want a tool, maybe a suggestion on how I can continue to replenish myself without losing contact with her, because sometimes the momentum she seems to have going in our relationship, or maybe I guess it's I have going, is always very negative.
you have to feel your way there. So let's do this. So we're going to have an experience, and we're going to call this the path of least resistance. And we're going to assume that you are, for the most part, tuned in. We believe that you are. We can feel the clarity that's come to you. We liked your opening statements about no longer being at the bottom of the hill trying to stop the momentum of unwanted things. So you're in a good place, and you're in an especially good place right now, but you're on a subject that is loaded. It's got lots of tentacles, it's got lots of vibrational pieces, it's got lots of resistance potential in it, and it's a good subject for everybody because you've all got a mother, whether you know where she is or not. So let's take the path of least resistance. So you just talk to us, start anywhere, and we're just going to guide you from what we know about path of least resistance and from what we sense from you. Just start rambling, short sentences, please.
About my relationship with my mother?
Yes.
I love her very much. My mother's a wonderful lady. She's been in an abusive relationship.
All right, now you're going too fast.
Sorry. She's a...
Wait. So start over. Give us one sentence at a time, because we want to evaluate each sentence based upon how path of least resistance it is, or how path of some resistance it is.
I love my mother very much.
All right, so that in and of itself is a resistance-free sounding statement, and we don't doubt it. It's just that love and resistance are not the same vibration. What you mean is, I really want to love her. What you mean is, I often do love her. What you mean is, sometimes I can get in a vibration of pure love for her. Those are all true statements.
I struggle with my relationship with my mother when
all right,
she
now let's just go nice
negative.
and slow here. So I struggle with my relationship with my mother. Now, this is really easy. Is that a statement of a path of least resistance, or is that a resistance statement? It's loaded, isn't it? I struggle is a really tailing word, but it's all right. It's where you are. It's like Esther. She's standing there and her window's blown out. What are you going to do? In other words, you're not going to wheel your nose and change it all of a sudden. You are where you are, and it is what it is, and you're having a vibrational relationship with your inner being right here and now. Now, this is the thing that we want to emphasize. You're having a vibrational relationship with your inner being right here and now. You think this conversation is about the relationship that you're having with your mother, but it isn't. This conversation is about the relationship that you're having with your inner being. Your mother is the subject of attention that is screwing up your relationship with your inner being. But it's your relationship with your inner being that we are talking about path of least resistance about, because that's where your resources are, that's where your clarity is, that's where everything that you will find that will be of value to your mother is. So that's the relationship that we're talking about. So path of least resistance. I love my mother very much. Maybe that's sort of kind of on the path. Could be, and you want it to be. What's the next statement? And don't try to fix it for us. Say what you mean, because everyone wants to hear, and we want to show you. So what's the next statement you want to make? I struggle. What were the words?
I struggle with my relationship because she's very negative.
I struggle with my relationship because she's very negative. All right, so now feel that out there. It's where you are. So this is where you want to be, and this is where you just went. Okay, now the question is, from over here, where you are, where do you want to go next? Further this way, or do you want to try to go this way?
That way.
So don't lose sight of what the goal is here. So since you want to go that way, and since you struggle with your relationship with your mother because she's negative, what might you say from where you are? You can't just make stuff up, and you can't just all of a sudden jump to a whole other place on the path. You're on the path where you are. You are on the path where you are. What could you find within you that could cause you to take a path of less resistance? Because you could go off the cliff. You could. We could listen to you and you could go right off, or you could try to bring it back a little bit. So what's a little less resistance from I struggle with my mother because she is so negative? What could you say that's a little closer to what your inner being knows about all of this?
I could love my mother no matter how she is and still continue on my
Oh,
journey.
blah, 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 blah. We know.
But-
we know. You learned all that stuff from us. We know. But here's the thing. That's too big of a jump. You're not going to make that jump. That's way too big of a jump. You're just trying to turn this path a little bit because you don't have to figure it all out. You just want to stop the momentum of this. So I struggle with my mother because she's so negative. What could you say that will turn that ever so slightly? She's not always negative, is she?
No.
She's not always negative. She mostly is, but she's not always negative. What else might you say? She's not always negative.
She loves me.
All right, now
That comes from a place of like, when
don't
I start...
talk for just a minute.
Okay.
Her loving you or not loving you hasn't got anything to do with your relationship with your inner being about her, because that's how codependency happens. Because she loves me, I should love her. And we say, yeah, everybody would feel better if they were loving everybody. We're not discounting that. But here you are in the middle of a thought. Now let's be real about what's happening. Your inner being is offering a signal and calling you, and you're not going because you're right now focused upon the struggle that you're having with your mother. So what could you say that would loosen the resistance just a little bit and allow yourself to be called more easily into alignment with who you really are?
Gosh, I mean, I love my mom no matter what. I feel like that's where I've been stifled for so long, is I don't know how to make that step closer.
But you see, here's the thing. You believe that you're supposed to love your mom, and you often do. But you keep walking into ambushes where she's negative, and you're not prepared for the negativity.
Correct.
You're not standing your ground. Now eventually, if you take the path of least resistance often enough, you could stand here and all these things that you're saying would be absolutely true, which means we wouldn't have begun in this conversation in the way that we did. And if somebody says, how's your mother? You'd say, fine. They say, is she negative? You say, I don't really give too much attention to that. And you would mean it, because that's not on your path. That's not what's active within you. So here's the question that we're putting to all of you. It's really the thing that we so want you to hear from us. Because Esther said, Abraham, I think I misunderstood. I think that you told me that my job was to, no matter what, feel good about this and 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 this. Feel so good that all of those conditions would have to acquiesce to my strong vibration. And we said, we've been talking to you about unconditional love. You're about to really hear this. We know it feels a little scrambled right now, but stay with us, because the most important thing that you will ever want to know is about to unravel, and you're about to feel it deeply within yourself. You are going to understand how the universe works, how you work, how you belong to every relationship. It's all going to come together in the next 2 or 3 minutes. So just hang in here with us. This is a really good point of understanding. So we've been talking to you, been listening to us for a while about unconditional love. Unconditional love says, I love my mother no matter what. Well, wouldn't that be nice? I love my mother no matter what. Wouldn't that be nice? But it isn't the case. I love my mother when she's good. I love my mother when I'm good in the way that she thinks I should be good. There are all of these attachments to all of these things. So, hang in here. Conditional love says, I will hook up to source energy, offer a vibration that is so powerful that I will control the environment around me. And if my mother's in sync with that good feeling, she'll show up. And if she isn't, she won't. In other words, law of attraction will bring us together when we're in alignment, and won't bring us together when we're not in alignment. That's a perfect world, and that's how it is. But you say, I love my mother no matter what. And we say, so you've got all this scrambled stuff about, so you're calling your mother who's in alignment to you, and you're calling your mother who's not in alignment to you, because you have not cleaned up your vibration about your mother. And the reason, we are so pleased to give you this information. The reason that you have not cleaned up your vibration about your mother is because you haven't given yourself permission to walk away from her long enough to clean it up. The condition keeps knocking you off and knocking you off and knocking you off and knocking you off and knocking you off. You haven't given yourself permission to come into full alignment. You got to give yourself permission to take the path of least resistance for you. And you got to give yourself permission to do it long enough and often enough that you're steady on your trail. That you're steady, that you're in alignment. And now there's your mother and you're in alignment. And there's your mother and she's negative and you're in alignment. And there's your mother and you're in alignment, because you gave yourself permission to get there first. You see what we're getting at?
Yes.
You did get it. We're so happy that you got it.